They say the Mona Lisa's smile is mysterious.
But in the summer of 1911,
her disappearance became even more enigmatic, setting off a chain of events that would change the course of art history forever.
It happened in Paris, the city of light, of love, of artistic genius.
But behind the glittering boulevards and gilded museum halls, something unbelievable unfolded.
For over 2 years, the world's most famous painting
vanished, stolen in broad daylight from the walls of the Louvre, leaving no ransom, no broken glass,
not even a footprint. What followed was international scandal, tabloid frenzy,
and the transformation of a quiet Renaissance portrait into the most iconic piece of art in human history.
This is the strange, true story of the Mona Lisa heist, a crime so absurd,
so theatrical, that it became legend.
The Louvre in 1911
was a wonder of the modern world. Its long corridors and towering ceilings,
lined with treasures from every continent and century. In one modest room called the Salon Car, hung a portrait barely 30 inches tall, a woman with an unreadable smile, painted by Leonardo da Vinci nearly 4 centuries earlier.
La Joconde, as the French call her, was admired,
but she wasn't yet a superstar.
No laser sensors,
no motion detectors, just 4 metal pegs holding her in place and a glass case to protect against dust.
Security was minimal.
After all, who would dare rob the Louvre? That morning, August 21st,
a painter named Louis B. Raoul entered to sketch the Mona Lisa, as he often did. But this time,
she was gone. At first, staff assumed the painting had been temporarily
removed for cleaning or photography. But hours passed,
and no one returned it.
Then panic set in. An empty space on the wall, just a hoax,
and no explanation.
The Mona Lisa had vanished.
The Louvre shut down immediately.
Every corridor, hallway, and chamber was sealed off.
Police flooded the museum. Reporters swarmed its gates.
Detectives collected fingerprints and experimental practice at the time and interviewed over 200 museum workers and visitors. But no useful evidence emerged.
No broken locks.
No signs of forced entry. It was as if she had simply
walked away. The French public erupted.
How could the crown jewel of French culture lose a Da Vinci?
How could a painting be stolen from the most prestigious museum
in Europe without anyone noticing?
Within days, the director of the Louvre was forced to resign in disgrace.
Newspapers ran wild with conspiracy theories. Was it an inside job, a foreign plot,
a secret art collector?
The Mona Lisa had gone from admired to obsessed, over-elevated, overnight by the mystery of her disappearance.
As weeks turned to months, the case grew stranger. The police, desperate for suspects, turned to the Parisian avant-garde.
Their first arrest,
the French poet Guillaume Apollinaire.
He had once written a satirical essay calling for the Louvre to be burned down.
He had 2 eyes to petty art thieves, and he had once returned
stolen museum artifacts, sparking suspicions of depot involvement. Apollinaire was interrogated and jailed. Then, another name surfaced, Pablo Picasso.
The young artist, barely in his 30s, was already
gaining a reputation for radical style and disregard for tradition.
Years earlier, he had purchased 2 stolen Iberian statues linked to a museum theft.
It was enough for police to bring him in for questioning. Picasso, shaken and terrified, denied everything.
There was no evidence.
Eventually, both he and Apollinaire were cleared. The real thief was still out there, hiding in plain sight,
watching the chaos from the shadows.
2 years passed. The world moved on. The Mona Lisa became a myth spoken of like a lost treasure. Then, in 1913,
an Italian art dealer named Alfredo Geri in Florence received a letter. The sender claimed to possess the real Mona Lisa.
He said he wanted to return her to Italy, her true homeland, for a patriotic reward. The dealer contacted authorities and arranged a meeting.
In walked a quiet, short man with a large moustache and nervous eyes.
His name was Vincenzo Peruggia. He claimed he was no thief, just a proud Italian. And then he produced the painting, the Mona Lisa,
real, intact, and undamaged. Peruggia had worked at the Louvre years earlier as a handyman on the day of the heist, dressed in a white worker's smock.
He slipped inside the museum early before opening.
He waited in a janitor's closet overnight, and when the coast was clear, he stepped out, lifted the Mona Lisa off the wall, removed the frame, hid it beneath his coat, and simply walked out.
No alarms, no guards, no one stopped him.
It was the perfect crime because it was incredibly simple. When arrested, Peruggia told a grand story.
He said he had stolen the Mona Lisa not for money, but to return her to Italy,
her rightful home.
He claimed the French had stolen the painting during Napoleon's looting of Europe. It was a tale of national pride, of repatriation, of cultural justice.
But the truth, Leonardo da Vinci himself brought the Mona.
Lisa to France in the 150s,
where he sold it to King Francis I.
The painting had legally belonged to France for centuries.
Most historians believe Peruggia's motivations were more selfish. He thought he could sell the Mona Lisa for a fortune or become a national hero. Instead, he became a petty thief in history's spotlight. Peruggia stood trial in Italy. The courtroom was divided. Some called him a fool, others a patriot. He was convicted but sentenced to just over 1 year in prison. The crime, while outrageous, had stirred deep emotions among Italians. In January 1914, the Mona Lisa returned to France. Her journey home was like a royal parade. People lined the streets.
Newspapers ran special editions.
And when she returned to the Louvre, security was dramatically upgraded. No more fragile glass.
No more unlocked rooms.
The heist didn't diminish her value, it amplified it.
Before the theft, the Mona Lisa was a respected Renaissance portrait.
After the theft, she became a global phenomenon. The crime turned her into a symbol.
Her mysterious smile,
now the face of intrigue itself. And so, one of the most audacious crimes in art history ended not in violence or ransom,
but in legend. A man hid in a broom closet,
walked out with the most famous painting in the world, and made her even more famous in the process.
Was Vincenzo Peruggia a thief, a patriot, or just a man chasing meaning in a world obsessed with beauty? The Mona Lisa has never spoken. Her smile keeps its secrets, but her absence told us more than her presence ever did.
Thank you for watching Crimes Through Time.
If this story fascinated you, give us a like, drop a comment,
and don't forget to subscribe.
And tell us in the comments, was the Mona Lisa's fame born from Leonardo's brush,
or from the man who dared to take her? Until next time, stay curious, stay safe,